we're talking about me being lazy again. If you haven't seen the first video about clothes, maybe go watch that. This time I want to talk about organization for the home, or what goes where. Now I actually like having things and putting things in the containers and so forth. I find organizing and reorganizing fun. That being said, I find many things fun, and I'm not about to run a restock talk anytime soon, so I need to go about all my fun activities, including this one, in a mentally sustainable and practically easy way. Disclaimer again, I said in the last video that you're not me. Well, I hope that hasn't changed, you're still not me. So if you're looking for advice, adjust the steps as needed, think of your own priorities when it comes to having stuff, etc. The first step of having stuff is getting the stuff. That's logical. Maybe I bought it on a whim, maybe it was a gift or hand-me-down or whatever else. Obviously, do I like the thing? Does it do what it's supposed to do? If it's a decoration, do I like looking at it? If it's a tool, is it easy to use? If it's purpose-bought for a space, for example a funky shaped container to go in a certain nook, does it fit that nook? It should if I measured it, but maybe I eyeballed it, and that's okay. Maybe it takes some time for me to make up my mind, and that's okay too. Eventually the answer might be yes, I made a pretty good decision, or someone was really thoughtful and got me that perfect present, and is better than the old thing. What happens to the old thing? If I got a nice new acrylic container to replace a random box, if I got a new Dyson to replace an old hand-me-down vacuum, what about the old thing? Sometimes it's very clear that I don't need it anymore. I don't need 2 vacuums or fridges, so I donate it and put it on Facebook Marketplace or chuck it out if it's broken. But it leaves. The second step is where the lazy comes in. I like having things. I don't like thinking too hard about it. Have you ever found yourself making a pros and cons list about some activity only to actually start doing it and realizing that it was nothing like you thought and the list was a waste of time anyway? I don't think having stuff should be a whole mental exercise. So maybe I still need the old thing, maybe I don't. I'm not going to lose sleep over it, so I put it somewhere else. Here's a cookie tin. I ate all the cookies, I look around and find another spot for it. Instead of on the dining table holding cookies, it's now in my study on my desk shelf holding sewing supplies. This is new. It wasn't here doing this before. It came from elsewhere in the home, so all the same questions from step 1 apply. It was good at holding cookies, but it's not doing that anymore. Is it good at holding sewing supplies? Is it better than the old thing? Now, because I didn't think too hard about this decision, it might not be a very good decision. That's okay. It's very low stakes. The cookie tin's over here holding my sewing supplies for a couple of days or weeks or months. If I need my sewing supplies because something fell off or something came apart, I have an immediate problem on my hands. I'm not in the headspace to care about the tin, which is fair and square. But eventually I will accumulate some feelings for my tin. I accumulate some different feelings over time. One of them is that I like looking at it. I think it's funny because I'm doing the stereotypical grandma thing. One of them is that it's pretty easy to use. I can see why grandmas do it. One of them, a few months later, is that I don't have enough room in here. I got more sewing stuff and now it's a little bit too small. So I'm on the lookout for a replacement. I'm not too fussed. It's not the end of the world. Maybe I look around, I shovel some things around or declutter and then I have a bigger container. Or maybe I shop online or whatever. In the next 10 minutes or 10 weeks, I find a new home for my sewing supplies. The tin is once again looking for another purpose. Maybe it goes somewhere else again, holding somewhere else, but let's say this time it has nowhere else to go. Everything that it could do is being done by something that's better. This tin isn't see-through and it's not that big. Everything else is either see-through so I can find my stuff or bigger or okay. So it leaves. I throw the tin in the bin. I've given it a chance. It worked until it didn't. I say bye-bye. I don't particularly like this part. I don't like getting rid of stuff, but I gave it a fair go. It's not the end of the world. And if it turns out I did need a cookie tin, I can just go buy more cookies. So that's fine. And this is my organization process. It's not an active thinking task that's always on my mind, but every object is at some step in the cycle. Some things I have shuffled around many times. They always find a place to be for a while, and then I find them inconvenient. Eventually, I get into a decluttering mood and go, You good for nothing, whatever, I'm finally getting rid of you. You suck everywhere. That's okay. Sometimes I get it perfect the first time. That's okay too. Sometimes I put it away because it's good quality, and it just because I don't have a use for it right now doesn't mean I won't later, if it's expensive or impossible to replace. Chances are something else gets shuffled around and this thing gets its time to shine. Sometimes I don't use these things for ages. And I go, yeah, no, I'm never going to use it. 2 years and I haven't had a place for it, giving it away. If the answer to that question back in step 1 was no, then I try using it somewhere else as well. For example, I got this microwave shelf from IKEA, but I have a massive microwave, so the shelf didn't fit over the microwave. So now I have a double-decker table next to the couch. I love this thing. It's literally just an IKEA microwave shelf on top of a lag table. The shelf means my decorations are easily seen. This plant gets enough light and more room to put my food and drinks. It's a bit of an abomination, sure, but it makes me happy and I live here. I'm turning 24 this year. I've had 3 years of learning to live like an adult. Eating things before they go bad, grocery shopping, keeping on top of chores. I'm learning what I like and what I don't like in my own home as a person. So I'm okay with making a mistake. I'm okay with buying something and finding out that I don't like it. At this little wicker basket next to the bed for a while holding stuff. Turns out I don't like putting things in the wicker basket because the bottom's kind of bumpy. Who would have known? Me, maybe, if I thought hard enough, but there's like literally no stakes in trying it out. I don't have it anymore. I got some IKEA containers off Facebook Marketplace, so I gave away the wicker basket. I learned my lesson. I don't like putting things with set shapes in wicker baskets. And on that note, wire baskets as well, because they won't stand up straight. It makes me more mindful when I shop in the future too, not just for this space, but in general because I learned something about myself. And here's the lesson I learned about that cookie tin. I've eliminated using a cooking tin for my sewing supplies altogether, as long as the tin is smaller than or equal to the current box, and as long as I have the same amount of sewing supplies. Next time I have an empty tin, it will no longer be a candidate for this specific task. Actually, I've gone through a couple tins in the past few years, and I've decided I'm not keeping any more tins unless they're really cute, because I need my stuff in clear containers so I can see them and remember that they're there. So, organization for me is a very long process. Something's always changing. But it's not difficult because it's happening over such a long period of time that it doesn't feel like anything. But my life is just a little more efficient. I'm just a little happier each time. I've got a drawer organizer and laundry holding pegs and stuff because it didn't fit in the drawer. I eyeballed it, brought it home, and it immediately found the perfect place in the laundry. I have the storage bench, which tried 3 different places. It's had the perfect place for maybe a year or 2. And a side note about decanting or opening packaging just to put stuff in a clear container. I do it if it helps me. Like rice or sugar always comes in an annoying crunchy bag that loves to tip over and not sit properly and get in my way. So I put those in clear containers. But crackers come in a box nice and neat, so I wouldn't do it. Plus I'll just eat the crackers in like 2 days, so there's no point. But it'll take a while to get through rice or sugar, and it's good to see how much I've got left. Conclusion. Reorganizing is fun for me, so I like shuffling things around. But even if you don't like it, it shouldn't feel like a monumental chore. Cut yourself some slack for not getting everything right and perfect the very first time. I'm going to grow and change as a person. My stuff will change with me, as they should. That's the end of the video. Let me know if you took anything away, and I'm going to shuffle my containers around for the 3rd time this week. Bye.